These Russian men and women meet in a cultural center in the Armenian capital to do something that in Russia would land them in jail: openly discuss the political model they want for a future Russia. Starting last year, thousands of Russian political refugees arrived in Yerevan to escape Russia's repressive climate. Integration in Armenia is relatively easy since many Armenians speak Russian. The first arrivals were largely young people with information technology professions that allowed them to work remotely. The profile of those coming changed when it became clear that Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine would be prolonged and military conscription widened.
Во время мобилизации, естественно, ехали в подавляющем большинстве мужчины.
When the mobilization began, many men arrived of many ages, from 18 to 60 years old, since in Russia they can take you to war no matter how old you are, and the vast majority of them were people who did not have an IT profession.
One of the thousands of men who received a conscription order was Arsen Omarov, a telecommunications technician who was fired from Russian public television after leaking documents in which he appeared to be affiliated with the opposition leader Alexei Navalny. After getting the conscription notice, he got his motorcycle ready for the 2,200-kilometer ride from Moscow to Yerevan.
Как раз он у меня был сломан, двигатель лежал дома.
My motorcycle had broken down. The engine was at home, the chassis and wheels in the garden. When I returned home from work, I repaired it, put the engine in. At nightfall, I shined some lights on it so I could work on it. And at dawn, I left.
For those who fled Russia and left their jobs behind, the fight is on for economic survival. But necessity breeds creativity, and this group of theater artists worked to put together the premiere of a play that satirizes the Russian political structure. As a result of their work, they can raise their families in a new country. Working in Russia during a time of war, censorship, and propaganda would not have been compatible with their moral positions.
I believe
that in the context of the war, there would be no space for cinema or theatre in Russia. But the state is spending a lot of money on it, and many people who did not work before now have jobs. However, I cannot work on these projects, which are almost all propaganda.
For many Russians who have fled, the question is always the same: to return or not to return.
По крайней мере, пока идет война.
Of course, not while there is a war or while the same people remain in power. Returning is not an option.
The war has pushed out many young Russians who oppose Putin's policies, casting them across the Eurasia region. An entire generation forced to choose between what they see as an unjust war and exile. For Ricardo Marquina in Yerevan, Armenia, Elizabeth Cherneff, VOA News.